All right, we are up. Not the episode, but we are up. Ah, okay. But no, we kind of touched on it earlier. That I'm mainly curious if it is going to be the sun. I hope that it's the sun because it makes the most sense. It is the most straightforward. And given that they haven't really touched on anything, I would prefer them not try to introduce like a whole new thing in the last episode. But
talking about like what I was talking about with the legends.
yeah, because I've seen that also, but maybe if they had like dropped some nuggets along the way, maybe, or I don't know, or maybe the knights is. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't really know what I mean, I don't know. So far, everything's been done fairly well, except Sabine because she sucks. But there's still hope.
I don't know. Everything I keep seeing is like Peridia's death. Peridia is the end of the line. Peridia is like not the place to be. So
yeah,
it's like the end of the line. I keep seeing it's like a prison of sorts. Maybe alluding to what Balin is searching for. Maybe there were prisoners there before Ezra and Thrawn. Maybe they're, I don't know. I'm interested to see what they're finding, what he ends up finding. Hopefully, he ends up finding it before the end of this fucking episode.
I feel like given all the nuggets and hints and stuff that have been kind of set up leading up to this, that they aren't just gonna leave it at nothing. And especially with all the weird development and stuff between the two of them, it's got to go somewhere in this last episode.
We talked about it a little
I
bit.
I think he's gonna die.
I think so.
Yeah. And hopefully that's the case. But
we talked about it a little bit a second ago, but that scene with Ahsoka and Balin fighting each other, he could have gone this way or that way, and he obviously chooses to go the way that his heart or the Force is calling him. But he's I guess sacrificing possibly his apprentice to her fate, or possibly a redemption.
Yeah, I hope it is clarified in some term. I hope it's not just like left open-ended.
Honestly, when she was like, surrender your weapon, I kind of hoped that she would do it and we would already begin that.
I think that was the planting of the seed for what's to come in this episode. She goes, okay, well, fuck, he just literally left me to die. All of these people who I thought were whatever, like, are literally trying to leave me here, and you, as of everything that I've heard, literally just offered to help me, and all these people that I thought I could count on just tried to abandon me. So I think that was purposefully done to plant the seed of that happening in the next episode, where it's not a Reva situation where it's like, I was literally going to kill this kid and then I just decided and you're like, oh well, you're a good guy now. It's like, you know, show that conflict, I guess, leading into that.
And they seem to have been alluding ish to it the past couple episodes, because she's had different questions here and there, like, why are you doing this? Why is this happening? Why is that? Like, what's going on? Kind of like questions. I'm also interested to see how they leave. I've seen a couple things where maybe they ride the whales back. Maybe they lock on to Thrawn's ship and they take back. Or
I think if they ride the whales back, that is largely like discrediting the whole, like, really, you didn't try to just start with the whales to find Ezra, like, problem. But then they kind of self-explain that away with like, well, nobody's seen them since. Like, maybe they only make this roundabout trip like once every 12 years or whatever. Are we up now? We are up. Part 8, the heroes race to prevent Grand Admiral Thrawn's escape.
Hold on.
got 43, probably about 40 minutes of runtime.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. I think I'm as. I mean, I heard the start of the Disney logo, but it seemed like last week I tried to back it off and it didn't actually back off. So I think I was a second or two ahead of you. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I heard the start of the Disney logo starting to make sound. So
always pause mine and do that backwards 10.
Yeah, I can't do that. It's grayed out, so I guess I'm as backed out as it could be, so whatever. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. I don't feel like the subtitles for this episode are all of a sudden in a different font. I mean, I guess I was Disney, but... Oh, that dude dies.
I will say that looked like way more people that could have gotten off those two gunships.
Yeah, I would expect maybe 6 troopers per ship.
Yeah, there was 40 there.
Yeah, see, Great Mother I think is fine, but I feel like they've been referred to as grandmothers also, and that just sounds weird. Snare drum. Is that Max Rebo on the snare? I'm gonna say it looked like the engines on a ship probably wouldn't even work.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
It's complete, but they're still actively Mm. She's gonna get infused. She looks real confused.
She looks terrified.
Thrawn's just there. The girl on the right looks wild. A certain somebody you might know is in the chat currently. I don't think they're gonna kill her.
Yeah, they're supposed to be rewarding her. She's gonna become...
She's about to look real pale, I think. It's kind of spooky.
She a zombie! She's got new tattoos.
It's kind of interesting. I feel like we always just assume that the Night Sisters were just them, not like created in that way. It's kind of cool. Where were they keeping that? Why isn't she pale, though?
This can't be good.
Are we gonna have the rematch between her and Ahsoka, I guess? Well, that debunks the they didn't have TIE fighter pilots to go look for Ezra rolling around out in the fields.
The Jedi, the witch in the wardrobe? Is that what that said?
I don't know. I was looking at the dog. That... Like, are they gonna try to take all these things with them? That just is comedic. That's gotta be loud as shit for them, like, down below it. That was a dental scalpel thing.
This is cool.
Ooh. That looks awful familiar. Neat. Now he's got like a weird mashup of the two.
Hmm.
It's gonna
What do
be
you think it'll
green.
be?
That's blue. It's consistent, if nothing else. What about Ahsoka? Hey, we know what she's talking about.
Reese.
Although to be fair, Ahsoka kind of deserved that loyalty. Get it? There is no try.
We're gonna have milk cartons. No. Even they have gold.
I'm gonna squish all the cool. That's pretty cool. I just watched the
He's
ship
like,
run
my
into them.
ship!
Would have been cooler if she went between them and then like did the little wing spin thing and like whacked them. Would have made more sense than just running into her. Well, that sucks. How on earth is Hu Yang already outside that ship? Well, this situation just got worse. Worse. Well, now they have to take him with them.
I don't know why. I like the idea of Ezra having a new lightsaber.
Like ground assaulting them, or them ground assaulting.
These crabs are fucking able to work on starships.
I love that his ship just makes that loud sound sitting there.
They got there quick.
Does that answer your question?
Hey.
Oh man, you're gonna put your helmet on finally? It's only been 8 episodes. Good for
She
you.
just got it back.
Maybe she should have put the chin strap on the first time. I still don't understand why Sabine doesn't have a jetpack. I'm pretty sure they're dead.
No.
Looks really rigid. That's like the old school ignition sound. Just gonna resurrect them.
Oh shit!
It's like some Night King shit. That it's kind of morbid to watch it happen.
This is what you wanted.
Why are they just standing there? They still have somewhere to go. Yeah, interesting. They're actually making these like zombies. They're not like Merrick. Live action like zombies. Interesting.
Star Wars zombies.
But we know from the Clone Wars that this is just gonna go on until they get up there and stop them from.
How do they have dead zombies coming up from behind them where they haven't even been yet? Careful, careful.
How is that a better choice?
I like that she can block the bolts even without having the force. Or, I guess, limited force.
It's kind of silly though, because they have like they're acting like zombies, which is kind of stupid. They have helmets on. Like that one grabbed onto him, and then what? I hate her. I hope she dies.
Stay.
That's fucked up. So she came to get him, and she's gonna have to take his place. Or is she gonna turn? Oh, Death Troopers. Neat. We haven't seen those
But
yet.
they were just black stormtroopers. They didn't have like the Death Trooper helmet.
I don't know. It's like I like registered them right as it like cut away. God dang. That dude tripped going up the stairs. It's probably the most live action lightsabers we've ever seen since the prequels.
Yeah. Oh boy. stay together.
Oh, you're gonna burn your hand. It's like I almost feel like she looks more fluid than Ahsoka does, and that shouldn't be the case.
This fight's looking a little more fluid.
Yeah.
Hello.
No, those are Death Troopers. They got that like long helmet.
Yeah, they are. I
So these are undead, I guess.
think you're getting more of what you asked for.
Yeah, so his ship doesn't work. Oh, cool. God, fuck, put the chin strap on! The most useless helmet. Straight up Star Wars zombies now. Not strong zombies. Just pick them up and throw them off.
Force push him off.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what are we doing? They're gonna have to allow zombie troopers now. They're canon, official live action.
Come on. Come on.
I will say this is exactly what people didn't really want to happen. Still never gets old seeing people kill people by like igniting and turning off a lightsaber. Like, bzz.
Yeah.
Helmet?
Jump. Jump. She'll
Yeah.
have it in the next
Yeah,
shot.
forget the helmet. It's useless anyways. Every time you get into a fight with it, it just flies off your head. I still don't believe that she would struggle at all with this lady. It's like, what, just because he has a fancy sword? Or... Oh, that's messed up.
Force pull him.
You just now, like...
Y'all wasting time.
You just now moved something slightly.
But maybe she unlocked that, like it clicked. He's like, oh my god.
Which is awful, Anakin Skywalker. But she still has to, like, do the initial jump.
Does she know how to force jump?
Oh.
She gonna do it? She's seriously gonna do it again?
Oh.
Cut her head off.
Turns out this wasn't a setup, and Ahsoka's just about to die in her own show. This Night Sister lady has got a lot of moves, huh? I mean, you just heard him yelling from the from the ship. Well, she's kind of starting to look more dead. Pretty sick if you had a helmet, huh?
I think the whole point is to see the actress. Could have cut her hand off.
Did they like fall to a different plat? Yeah, dang. Did they like fall to another platform? Where'd all the dead stormtroopers and Sabine go?
Still there.
Am I still here?
Dang.
Are we about to see him put on this stormtrooper costume like rebels? Chin strap this time, maybe?
Nope.
It's gonna trip, it's gonna roll off her head. Blowing up the Night Sisters like home thing.
Bye. Blast him.
Poor stormtroopers. Man, we really ain't getting any Balin this episode, huh?
It's not over yet.
Pretty cool to see a Star Destroyer with a ring around it. Ooh. Man, you're really gonna end us off with that? Dang. I like that effect still. Ezra's on the ship, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. This dang bird has intergalactic travel. Yep, she got left too. The heck is this? Oh, the bandit camp.
Bandit, yeah.
She about to Anakin Skywalker all these Tuskens. Jon Snow? Oh. Hello there.
He's gained extra capes.
Somewhere along the way, he's just got extra capes.
He's headed to Mount Mordor.
Oh, don't end with that.
Are they back at
This live action Dathomir? That's a lot of Night Sisters. She does that.
It's Ezra. Oh, maybe not.
Oh, as a
Oh, it
stormtrooper.
is.
That's a bit of. You just take that.
Chopper knows.
I would chop her now. That's got to be a weird feeling because you know what that means. Turns out he is evil. This was all part of the
The
plan.
ghost.
I can even feel like their like first meeting was more impactful than Sabine's was. Just admiring the whale bones up in the sky. Yeah. This is a bit excessive. I'm sorry. Is it like a funny poster or so could she see him? I don't understand.
I think it was like alluding to her like discovering her abilities, and like maybe just for a second she felt the presence.
Maybe.
I hate the way it ended, but
I'm um I'm I'm a little annoyed, to be honest. Because this didn't feel like a finale, this felt like a setup for something else. And obviously given what we know happened, now we unless they recast or CGI or whatever, we don't get any sort of satisfying conclusion to that story because they wanted to set up the next season.
We didn't get any Balin in that episode.
No, just him
we got
standing there with his extra capes. Like,
yeah.
We didn't get any Balin, we didn't get any Shin other than 2 scenes, one apiece. And it explained nothing. Why on earth, unless she's going to go Anakin on all of those bandits and just go slaughter them? But for what purpose? I mean,
it seemed like she's just finding a familiar person. Like she banded up with them before, so she went and sought them out again, but in bigger force. I don't know.
And that's the crappy thing is like, I liked all of the stuff that we got, but we literally could have just had 10 more minutes to give a couple minutes of screen time to Balin and Shin to at least make it feel like we got at least a bookend to this portion of what their thing was. But we didn't get anything. We got nothing. We got all these episodes of them being like a consistent blurry mess of my camera subplot of throughout the whole show to then have nothing in the finale at all. And it's
Well,
like
I think it's like
around
you
like
said, they were like leading up to the second season or the big whatever comes next, not really booking on Mr. Ray Stevenson passing away, and now we have literally nothing except for a guy pointing.
I mean, even in a like a self-contained sense, like that doesn't get me like excited to see what comes next. It just kind of annoys me. It's like something that was a positive throughout the whole show is now like a point of frustration. It's not like, ooh, that was really interesting. I'm curious to see where that goes. It was just like a thing that happens. Like, oh, I got some capes. Sick.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like the Dathomir stuff, you see them get to Dathomir. That's a cool setup for the next season. Ezra getting back to Hera. That's a cool setup for next season. All of this stuff is like a wrap up to this portion of the story, which I get you could apply that logic to like Baylan and Shin also, but given like we didn't get anything in the finale episode to be a finale to this portion of their story, if that makes sense.
No.
Whereas we kind of got like some degree of wrapping up to the rest of their stories for this, you know, little chapter of this whatever. I'm sorry, Chopper.
I thought it was a little
weird. That was Ezra. He's not a force-sensitive droid.
He's not, but he has scanners and stuff, or maybe I don't know.
He scanned some things on Ezra. He knows that was him.
It is weird that he didn't like walk off. I mean, I get it for like a cinematic purpose, but like if it were me,
toss the helmet out first,
and maybe even take off the fucking stormtrooper armor altogether and be like, "Hey, these are my clothes. Here I am. It's me."
Especially considering it's not like that was any reveal to the audience. Like, we know. It's kind of goofy. I get it. It's like a Rebels maybe nod to, like, the amount of times they were dressed up as stormtroopers, I guess.
But he literally risked, like, walking down that ramp
just getting
and
blasted.
taking, like, 50 blaster shots. Yeah, all at once.
And he had to peel, like, a zombie corpse out of that suit. I didn't think that they were going to show us, like, zombie face, but they didn't go all the way, but we got zombie face. That's really interesting, actually. It's kind of goofy. It's like you have a helmet on, and these are, like, different than normal zombies, because it's like they were, like, brutes, not, like, mindless, lifeless things. I'm still obviously very excited for the next season. I was really hoping that they were going to wrap up Ray Stevenson's part, given what we know, but...
No, we got another Leia kind of ordeal where they're going to have to figure it out afterwards.
And I hope they either talk to whoever they need to talk to, recast it, do CGI, do whatever they need to do to actually finish the story and it not just be like this weird like thing that's hanging out there, because he brought the character to life. He started this positive character. People enjoy the character. People want to know more about the character, paying respect to the character that he created in a sense. I mean, I think it's just as disrespectful to him passing to just drop it there when he is like a freaking gnat flying around, like has now left a very positive stamp on Star Wars as a whole, and then just to drop him like and not let that be a full thing, I think is not. I hope they don't do that. I don't know if I would want it recast, but I don't know. I mean, it's not like they have the amount of stuff with like Luke to be able to like fully maybe properly recreate everything off of just the 8 episodes without using like outside of Star Wars. But
yeah, I'd say out of all the villains cast, he's probably been one of the best ones we've gotten. So it kind of sucks how it's all going.
And I think that's why I'm as frustrated, I guess, as I am, is because the Baylan Shin like subplot was so interesting. And then it was like one of the main things that I was looking forward to in this episode, and we were given nothing for no real reason. I mean, maybe they couldn't come up with like it would have maybe been. I mean, I don't know about Shin. I don't know how they would have made that make more sense. Because we don't know what the one thing we saw meant. We have like, but she just raised her lightsaber at some bandits. What that could mean any number of things. She's signaling she wants help. Is she gonna kill them?
I feel like at that point she's feeling abandoned. Like her master left. The good guys want to help her, but she doesn't align with them. So she went to the next thing that she knew, and that was like these raiders, and she knew that she could control them in some way.
Yeah, but then why raise your lightsaber like, hey, I'm about to charge at you like cavalry?
I think it's saying like, hey, I have a saber, like I have something you don't. Like I am the leader. I am more powerful than you. So listen to me. I mean, all the other times. I mean, when you see him in the 4th or 5th episode when they first get to Peridia, like Sabine pulls out that lightsaber and she dispatches a couple of them, and that one dude, like I think he gets hit a little bit, but he's like, all right, that's something, and he takes off. And then when they come back, it's just Baylan and her. And I guess they just follow them because they know that they have lightsabers. And then I guess now she's
this is exactly what I'm talking about. We have no idea. We've like they set up this stuff. They kind of put forward like maybe the questioning of things. She was like very interested in the Jedi past. It's like, okay, well, where is this going? And we got her raising a lightsaber at some bandits. What does that have to do with literally anything that was just shown to us in the last 2 episodes, specifically where this like kind of ramped up a little bit? And like maybe if Baylan had like actually seen anything that would have like clued us into what, like he's standing on a statue. Granted, we might be stupid. Actually, because the statue he's standing on is the statue of the father. The daughter is broken because she's dead. Oh, what happened to the father? The father died. The father was killed by the son.
Yeah, with the sword,
and he's pointing at something, and it looks like the son.
But even before he was dying, even before he was killed, he was dying. That's why he like sought out Anakin.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's what these statues are. I think that's supposed to be the father with his long pointy beard and his weird hat. The daughter statue's broken, and then there's the son. So whether it's going to be like the whole Abeloth thing or the son specifically, I don't know what exactly they're pointing to, but that's the thing. And maybe if they had shown
down that rabbit hole. Now that you're going down that rabbit hole, we have in the very end scene, we have, you said the father with Baylan, he's pointing. We have Ahsoka who absorbed basically, or the daughter kept her from dying. And now we have Anakin in the final scene who is supposedly maybe the new balance in, not Mortis, but the balance in the Force. He's the new father, but he encompasses all of it. He encompasses the good, the bad, the middle. I mean, so what if that's leading to something?
I'm not seeing anything else. Oh, there is something else in that episode. It's like a faint, like fluttering light. That's what he's looking at. There's something on one of the mountaintops that he's looking at. It's like a
yeah, that's what I was saying, like the Mordor thing. It was like a volcano almost. Yeah. And that's the other thing we had, the owl. I can't remember.
Yeah, Morai. That's just as ambiguous as her raising a lightsaber. It's like, okay, well, he's what does that mean? I don't know. I wish there was a little more, like, you could have it be speculative all the way up until the finale, but I would have liked maybe a little bit more of like a legitimate idea of what the heck has been going on this whole season with them. Whether it's like blatantly like, hey, I want you to do this thing and I'm the son and I'm evil and whatever. I don't need it to be that like specific, but it's almost like the same thing with Anakin's lesson. It's like they leave it a little too open-ended to the point where, like, when it wraps up, you're like, what exactly just happened? What was exactly the purpose of it? It's like they try to make it too, like, up to your interpretation that it kind of loses some of the impact that it could have had you just given it a defined, purposeful thing, if that makes sense. I don't know. I guess it depends on how they choose to handle Baylan and them going forward as to how this really is going to irritate me or not.
Well, I think that's what's also fun about Star Wars is like the up to interpretation. I mean, in some facts, I mean, it's also annoying, but in other areas, I mean, like the lightsaber fight or her last lesson, I mean, there was a lot in that to read into, I guess. Life or death. I mean, and then also like her facing her demons of being Anakin or becoming Darth Vader. I mean, she made the choice that Anakin also made, but made it differently. I mean, she could have struck him down, I guess, in a sense, and become him, but she didn't. She threw the lightsaber away. I mean,
well,
I
that's what
get
I'm
what
kind
you're
of
saying.
saying. If you could make a, like, you could either be good at everything or great at something, and they choose to, like, we're just gonna be good at everything. We're not gonna, like, really
Yeah.
hammer down and focus on this one particular thing and make it really impactful. They went with the, like, well, let's just throw a handful of things in there that it could be, versus like full committing to the one thing. Whether that's because they don't really know how to do that, or they maybe couldn't come up with like a good way to do it. I don't know.
I will say again, getting towards the end, I will always enjoy seeing Hayden in everything that I can see him in.
Yeah.
And that was something I didn't really register before. In the last episode, she said that he made 20 or so of these recordings. So even before like tonight, there was a possibility we could see him in 19 or so other
Yeah.
holograms.
Well, we've seen one of them.
Yeah. Well, he said 20 or so, but
No, not that one in Rebels. The one that she was watching in that one.
Oh, true,
So
true, true.
we've seen
Yeah.
2 of 20. But it's also kind of silly. Like, this was his last one, and he made it in the Clone Wars armor era of stuff. He didn't make you any recordings through the whole, like, normal Hayden attire portion of the Clone Wars. None of that. All right, then.
Well, I mean, I think that's also go back to we only knew of Ahsoka and Anakin together in the Clone Wars in the show. They were never in like the I guess episode 3 era of Anakin's attire.
Said Luke did not give in to compulsion. Ahsoka did the same. Ties to Gondor. Fall of men giving into the One Ring. So, Balin's giving in to the ring. Is that the idea?
Wait, what?
So Luke is more similar to. Well, this might be more up your alley. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings guy. It says ties to the line of Gondor and the fall of men giving into the One Ring. So is the ring the temptation of Balin? Is that where we're going? Is that like he's being corrupt? Is he like Smeagol?
Wait, where are you reading
It's
this?
in the damn chat.
I mean, I don't see that. I was scrolling down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weakness of man led to the fall. I mean, the One Ring, and then I guess jealousy and everything else, and then it falls in the river, and then Smeagol and la la la. I don't know Balin following a desire or like a whim or a call or whatever he keeps calling it. I don't feel like that's
Yeah,
the
I get
same.
there's
I
a
feel like,
temptation happening, but
but it's not the same. I mean, in Lord of the Rings, they fought a war to end the rule of this person, and then the ring is, I guess, what leads to the power of whatever. It's been so long since I read all that. It's weird.
I mean, they're doing lots of
So,
Lord of the Rings parallels on this show, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't know if they are or critics are the people reviewing this. I mean, I keep getting like the Gandalf the White, Ahsoka the White,
I
and
mean, they literally put her in gray and then put her in white. It is the most blatant parallel they could have made. I don't think it is a critical mind to figure out that that is the purpose. Whether they're
and
doing
again,
more parallels, who knows? But
Balin's headed to Mount Mordor.
literally the Eye of Sauron on top of a fucking
Yeah,
mountain.
I don't know. I mean, there's a obviously you could draw so many different parallels to both things, but I mean, so far as it seems in this, it doesn't seem like he's. I feel like the Ring of Power was given at one point and then it was dispersed, and that it ends up making different stories of how it ends up affecting people. Whereas Balin's reflecting on youngling stories that he heard at the temple, and he's now at this new place, and he's maybe wondering if something might be true or whatever, and he's following a whim, or maybe he's following an old story or something. I don't. It's kind of the same, but I don't think it's similar.
I don't know. All right, what do we got? We're going through. She gets Night Sistered, so I guess all the Night Sisters are created. Or is that just something that they can do, I guess? Because she still didn't really look like them. She just
I
had,
feel
like
like
the
she's
tattoos.
a Night Sister, and she got like
savaged.
yeah,
she got buffed
like,
up.
She got a Nobel Sister Prize and got like a CERD and everything else, and she got a bump up in the normal sisterhood.
Yeah, she was definitely a lot more efficient this time around against Ahsoka with her extra Night Sister juice.
She lost a lightsaber, cut in half.
Yeah, I wonder if she picked that shit up or not.
No, I don't
Also,
know.
Dad said that the stormtroopers are zombies, so they're still going to be alive under all the rubble of the broken stuff. So,
ooh,
it's kind of funny. I like that Hu Yang and Ezra had the conversation about Kanan. It's kind of interesting. And it is also kind of interesting that Hu Yang just has like a duplicate of the parts just in case. Like, I mean, all right. And then he has like a cool mashup between like Kanan and his own lightsaber. That's cool.
I do like that Ezra has like a piece of Kanan on his new lightsaber. That was another thing I saw, that Hu Yang's been around for what, 25,000
He's been around
years
since
of Jedi.
I think like the Old Republic, at least.
And there was an idea. I don't remember who. I saw it online, obviously, but they do like a droid tales, and he just tells different like Jedi tales from his extensive whatever knowledge of database of all the years of building lightsabers with all these different.
It says he was created
Jedi.
25,020 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
So 25,000 years or so before the prequels.
How cool would it be if we got like a young Yoda, a young Mace, a young whoever, different Jedi going through their different trials, their different tribulations, getting their stones, whatever. I think that'd be cool.
I mean, I understand, I guess, Ahsoka's point of view on like Sabine's decision, but I don't know. I still don't like that things have just worked out for Sabine to any extent, to be honest. It's like she's just done all the wrong things and now she has the Force also. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't feel the way that I do about Sabine had I not seen Rebels. But I feel like I've already like kind of gone through this series of things with Sabine through Rebels, of being like, oh man, she's kind of like a quirky, annoying kid, to like, okay, feel like she's maybe learning, making better choices, and then here we are again, like going through the same like arc of.
But in Rebels, I feel like her actions and her choices were on a very much smaller scale. Where, I mean, you were talking about, oh, her choice it influenced the delivery of whatever, or the timing of this battle or whatever. Now it's like life or death, her choices.
Yeah.
And all of her choices were like death, 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 death,
That's why I
death.
like when Ahsoka's like, well, your gamble paid off. She's like, oh, you know about that? And it's like, all right, well, that's as far as it went. It's like, I mean, like, are you not going to acknowledge the fact that you essentially just got her killed through some weird world between world MacGuffinry or whatever you want to call it? Like, yeah, she didn't die, but you made the choice that got her killed, essentially, is how it's kind of portrayed to us. And you're not going to touch on that? Well, no, I understand. It's, like, no, give me a break.
But was it her choice that got her killed? I think she like showed up and was like, "Hey, don't do that," and then like Balin just made a choice, and then she was kind of like left.
I mean, you think had she just
there alone.
destroyed the map or acted like she was actually going to destroy the map, maybe Balin would have been more concerned with stopping that from happening than fighting Ahsoka in that given moment. And she just stood there and then was like, all right, well, get off the cliff then.
Well, in a way, what if her not destroying the map is what spawned her appearing in the world between worlds with Anakin? If the map was destroyed, she wouldn't have a purpose to come back.
I mean, she wouldn't have been in the world between worlds to begin with.
I mean, at that point, she was already kind of like slashed in the lake, right? And if they had destroyed
they were
the map,
in that like standstill on the cliffside, and then Sabine comes around the corner and she's like, "Oh, Sabine, destroy the map." Like, whether she got distracted or was more focused on or whatever at that point, but that was like when she came running around the corner, and she tells Sabine to get the map, and she's holding it, and she's like, "Destroy it," and then she stands there, and then Balin like whacks her off the cliff.
Oh, I thought she had a little more time between that.
I don't know. I don't like. I don't know. You could argue that yeah, they're stuck there. That's her consequence for her terrible decisions. But Ahsoka's also stuck there, and she didn't make that decision. Hu Yang's stuck there. He didn't make that decision.
Apparently, they're right where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, whatever the hell that means. With these freaking turtle people.
I think this goes back to that episode with Anakin where she, whether it's fucked up or not, whether she wants to be there or not, she sees the bigger picture maybe, and she knows that she's supposed to be there.
She's more optimistic. That's the white portion of the Ahsoka, the white. Now she's not as pessimistic and whatever. She's like, she's back to typical Ahsoka from Clone Wars.
Well, I think also it's Ahsoka / sister. Maybe there's a deep feeling there that she feels like, I mean, we see Anakin, we see Balin going after whatever he's going after. Maybe she's supposed to be there.
We get the cool, I think it's interesting that they're just like hanging out on top of the ship as they're like traveling. But the stuff with them running down below the ship to stop it from squishing people, that's good.
Yeah.
I always want to see your hero characters actually saving people. That's always useful.
I always enjoy the Force too.
And it's cool that she's like, she knows Ezra and's like, I'm not going to put really any thought into it. It's like, Ezra, let's go. We got to go do this thing. Like, I'm not going to be like, hey, you up to this? No, she's just like, yep, with me. Come on. It's like,
I do enjoy
it.
that.
And he just goes right into it.
I do enjoy that because you get in Rebels you had Ashley Eckstein obviously, and then the two different voice actors for Sabine and Ezra, and they obviously, I guess maybe through the years, developed their own little mashup in the show. But you get almost like a flawless transition from animation to live action in this, where it's exactly like you were talking about. She's like, Ezra, let's go. And it was just like, it was seamless.
Yeah.
He was down there and they're doing their thing. I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot.
I don't know what it is about seeing the Force in relation to small ships that is just interesting. It's like whether the people are holding them, stopping them from moving, or picking them up, or it's just interesting to see. I don't know why.
I think it's the magnitude of it. I mean, you see it as early in Force Unleashed, where he's stopping a Star Destroyer, and then you see it in as late Kenobi, where Darth Vader stops that transport ship. I mean, I think it's just cool. I mean, it's almost like,
I guess, yeah, you see a lot of Force stuff in small, like, human scaled things, like I'm going to push this person or pick this person up. But typically when people are doing things like that, it's in more dire circumstances anyway, so it feels like it's more impactful also, aside from it being a larger act or feat.
I also don't ever see it unless it's like a powerful character.
Yeah. I like the turtle people. That's like a weird bright spot for me out of this whole thing. Here
comes the $25 4-inch tall Black Series.
No, it's gonna come with extra shell options, and it's gonna be a deluxe figure. It's gonna be $38, and it's gonna have 3 shell options. I think the
you get the pod and the little crab.
No, the pod's too big. They won't commit to that.
That'll be a one of the new vehicles coming out. It'll just be a fucking beam.
I want a 6-inch scale Star Destroyer and intergalactic hyperspace ring, please, for the low price of $890. Where do we go?
6-inch scale TIE fighter was huge. Can you imagine?
It'd be like a warehouse.
Yeah.
That'd be cool like to see, though.
21-foot tall or long, fucking 8-foot tall, the Star Destroyer.
Let's see. How long is a star?
Why do you do that?
5,249 feet. So that'd be 5,249 inches. I mean, to be honest, it's not as big as I would have thought. So a football field is 100 yards, which is 300 feet. So it's like a... Oh, wait, I lied. That's still bigger than I was just thinking. So a 1/12 scale Star Destroyer would be about a football field and a half long. There's got to be a record for that somewhere. That'd be wild.
That's humongous. A football field and a half.
Yeah,
you got to think Mercedes-Benz Stadium, even with like the ring on the outside, that's got to be about a football field and a half long. That's huge.
It's 437 feet.
It's huge. Oh, 437 feet. I don't know. I think
300 feet plus 130 feet. So it's almost a football field and a half. And it's like, in my head, I'm like, that's not as big as I was thinking. But then you like really like conceptualize what a Black Series Star Destroyer that was that big would look like in person. And you're like, holy shit, there's no way.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Complete sidetrack. Where are we? What are we going through? I think they've done a fairly good job making Thrawn come across correctly. I don't feel like, I mean, most everything he's done at this point has not been to any success other than they won, which maybe that is the grand takeaway. But I think it's been done well enough. I mean, I know I've seen some other people that have a little more problem with the strategic mind of things basically that he's doing not really resulting in much of anything, which I could also see, but I mean, they won, so I mean, I guess that's the victory that mattered.
The purpose was delaying time and getting the fuck out of Peridia, and apparently they did that.
It was cool to see the whole, like, them getting essentially bombed by the Star Destroyer. It's kind of hard to believe that they would have made it through that, but, you know, whatever.
I also thought it was weird talking about Ezra. He like, I guess, dressed up as a stormtrooper and stole a ship, got out of their range without them knowing, and then suddenly found the Rebels or the
It's the
New
Force.
Republic?
He homed in on Jason.
That's
He doesn't
something I never
know
thought
Jason.
about. He doesn't.
Nope. Now I'm
He
kind of
doesn't know
bummed
anything
actually we
about it.
didn't get that. Because people point out, it's like, well, who's going to train Jason? Is he going to end up at Luke's temple? Because it's a
Ezra.
death sentence. It would make sense if Ezra trains Kanan's son. That'd be really cool.
That would be fucking cool as shit.
And you'd get good, like, emotional conversations between them.
So you get conversations like you wanted with Ahsoka and Luke about Anakin.
If they don't give us that at some point, I'm going to be furious.
We got a little bit. I think that was another thing.
You're just like your father. No.
Going back to last episode is I think Thrawn also with the dawn of Ahsoka being Anakin's apprentice, he asked, "Is it the only ship?" I wonder if he also wondered if maybe Luke Skywalker, the son, was also with her.
Live action zombie stormtroopers is a little goofy because they have helmets on, and it's not normal zombies. They're gonna bite you. Like, I don't understand what their purpose is. Like the Night Sister zombies made sense because they were like feral against like the droids. They were just running around like smashing stuff up and whatever. But stormtroopers against Jedi, I don't know about that. I also wonder why Ezra went back to having a blue lightsaber. Because I thought the green was like his coming out of like Padawanage into like more of his own. So he went with the green and now he's back to the blue.
Yeah, green was always what the mastery kind of like color, but I think also he didn't have a choice. He's on a ship. He's dealing with these different bits and pieces that are in these drawers. Maybe that's just the first crystal he came across, or maybe the only crystal he had. I wonder if it'll come out like that crystal belonged to somebody else. Blah, blah, blah,
the Death Troopers. I still don't like Sabine using the Force, period. I would have been maybe okay had they shown like her really struggling like with the Death Trooper and trying, and you see it like just ever so slightly like rotate or something. So you go,
she went from pulling the lightsaber to throwing Ezra.
And it's like, okay, well maybe you could justify the lightsaber like, oh my god, she's gonna die, like I've got to do this. But then it's like she figured it out in 1 second and then immediately was like, yeah, that's fine.
What if it turns out she doesn't have the Force and it was Anakin the whole time helping her?
Nah, I don't think that's the case, surely.
Because all of a sudden she can like kind of feel him, and then.
And that's the other thing is why would she see Anakin unless that's part of like the whole flashback stuff of like, you know, you're everything that I am, you everything that will be in you that was in, you know, so on and so forth. So like it's kind of hinting at the lineage of the masterage of the whatever of, you know, in a way like Anakin is her master because she was Ahsoka's master, and there's, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. I don't think the way it came across to me is that like Anakin was there, Sabine felt something, maybe even saw something, but she wasn't quite sure what it was. But Ahsoka also maybe looking or seeing or feeling knew who it was or knew what it was. So you get both lenses. Like it's Anakin through and through, but Sabine had no idea. She just got that feeling. She kind of maybe saw a shimmer or whatever in the light, but on a reglance or whatever, it was Ahsoka that knew who it was.
Well, no, because he wouldn't know. Because I wonder if they're setting up her seeing Kanan in the next season. But how would Kanan know how to be a Force ghost? And if he knew how to be a Force ghost, wouldn't he like have some sort of relationship with his son, you would assume? Is there like bandwidth on Force ghostage? Like, why aren't they just around all the time?
I don't know. And I don't know how that all works, but also Kanan is one of the voices in Rise of Skywalker. So, I mean, obviously he has some celestial kind of beingness or whatever.
True. I wouldn't be surprised if they set that up. Because, I mean, who else would Sabine see as a Force ghost that would, like, have any impact on her?
I mean, I feel like they also kind of set that up in Rebels. I mean, he dies, but he also comes back as one of the wolves.
Yeah.
So maybe,
yeah, I guess the wolves could have, like, sorted that out if they wanted.
Maybe not quite like Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda, but maybe like, I guess Qui-Gon eventually figured it out. But essentially, when he started out, he was there, but he couldn't take a form. So maybe Kanan's like that at this point.
Well, I think that was one of the things that people had a problem with in Kenobi was that he never learned how to materialize himself. He only, like, could basically speak to people, which was kind of what they had, like, set up in the prequels or whatever, that was the case. And then in Kenobi they wanted that moment, so they're like, well, fuck it, we're just gonna have him show up. Who cares?
So I guess there's a way for them to eventually learn it. I don't know.
Get what? And we get the whole bombarding stuff, zombie troopers. I still like seeing zombie death trooper. It's interesting. Although now you have to wonder, because he looked actually undead, like, kind of spooky. When you get Night Sister, does it like decay
raw,
you?
Juicy jaw.
I just hate Sabine using the Force. Yeah,
That's another thing. Those pods, in his like little count up of the diagram on the ship, it looked like pod. It was like maybe 20 or 30 pods, but then like, yeah, you zoom in and it's like hundreds. There were hundreds of pods.
And they did also like make it a point to have the ship that he steals, which was Baylan and Shin's little transport ship thing, like literally right there in the hangar where he was standing. So he literally dragged that trooper onto the shuttle, changed, and then as soon as they probably entered that galaxy, he was like, whoop.
Oh, makes sense.
I don't like that Ahsoka only has one lightsaber. It feels lazy. But they won't really.
Well,
it's interesting. His ship's engines don't work. Well, they have to work, or unless he's just like floating around, because he like traveled to the little stick that they were standing on and parked it, so it has to have some form of like maneuverability. But like his engines most definitely weren't functional, so he can only move around with that ring.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he has like the 3 or the 4 little like baby engines, but he doesn't have like the big 3 Star Destroyer engines.
Yeah, I think that ship was totally destroyed. I was even noticing that. I mean, most of it was from like the right side, but I feel like there was a huge chunk on the left side in the front that was like missing. It was like a little U shape. It wasn't like built up in gold. It was just like hashed off.
I wonder if they're gonna explore like heavily the mystical side of whatever's going on this planet now that they're stuck there, and they're not like on a race against time. That, let's be honest, they weren't in too much of a rush. No. You just have the whole Baylan question to be asked. I wonder if they're, now that like the show has aired like a week or two from now, or sometime soon, they're gonna comment on it, because they couldn't have commented, said like, oh yeah, we're gonna solve this for the next season, because then he doesn't die. But now that it's kind of been out, I wonder if they'll make a statement on what the plan is going forward, because they, like, this was clearly set up to be a big something. They were going somewhere big with whatever this is. It's not like it was some weird little subplot. I think it's clearly supposed to be a big deal, whatever it is, so they have to do something with it.
Well, in a way, do you think that maybe, sure, they filmed obviously Ahsoka 1 through 8, but do you think maybe there's more that they filmed, maybe alluding to a second season, or leading into this, that maybe we got more footage that we just don't know about that might be answering those questions? Or do you think it's just done?
I don't know. I want to go back to the very first episode, because we still don't know why Sam Witwer is credited, unless it's whatever people were talking about in the first episode that I never noticed. Like hearing the son or whatever, like commenting to Ahsoka.
I feel like everything that he was said to have like been included in was like background voices, like quote unquote background voice.
It's also kind of funny that the show opened with that ship landing in the hangar and Baylan and Shin coming out and killing all those people. And then Ezra shows up in the ship with the same exact like sequence of ramp and smoke and everything.
I didn't even think about that. Again, I'm surprised they didn't just fucking blast him. Stormtrooper blast!
That's one stormtrooper. And you know they're confused. He's got like red tape stuck to him and shit.
Chopper.
Their opening sequence is really good.
Can't believe it's already over.
I'm confused. I don't hear anything. I don't know, maybe I could find like some clip of it or something, but I don't know when exactly they're talking about that, like there's a comment or a like the son or whatever is talking to her, but I definitely don't notice anything. Is it at the end of the episode, maybe? No, that's...
At what part, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have assumed it would have been at the beginning when she was at the temples and stuff. But don't look like that's the case. So I don't know. But, I mean, unless Sam Witwer was just... I don't know. I have no idea. I have... Sam Witwer, Ahsoka. Credit. Unless he was Merrick.
I mean, I
it's
said
just
that,
as simple as it was, but
he was a little thick or whatever to be Merrick.
Surely he was, but I also think they would have just credited him as Merrick if he was.
Yeah, who was credited at this point? Who was credited with him?
And then it's weird as he's also labeled as just additional voices. Not like guest starring Sam Witwer and they just don't say who. I don't know. I mean, the last time we saw Sam Witwer in anything, he was a shore trooper in Andor. I don't know. Yeah, I'm disappointed that it's over. I'm kind of...
I got nothing to look forward to.
I definitely... I still... I mean, it was still pretty good. But I still don't think this finale was better than...
Paul Darnell played Merrick.
Yeah, who the hell that is? Some skinny dude.
Yeah.
But I still don't think that this finale was as good as... No, it might be equal to like the Mando season 2 finale.
Well, I think that's because it wasn't like a finale. It was a ... leading into something else. So.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you think Mando's...
Marvel Thanos like snap, like cliffhanger, but we got a cliffhanger.
I mean, you think like Mando season 2 was him finishing the thing, giving Grogu to Luke, and it was like, well, where's that gonna go? But it like kind of wrapped up the story of that season. That was his goal. It happened. It's done. But now they've introduced this new question, which you kind of have that with Thrawn, like making it back and them not making it back, you're like, well, shit, where's this gonna go? But then you have the just wet blanket of the sequel trilogy just up here, like
waiting.
it has to go somewhere. And at this point, we have what, 20 or so years before the First Order comes up, or something.
I was about to say the sequel trilogy is like 15 to 20 years out. We're at what, like 7 to 10 after the fall of Endor.
So,
or the fall of the Empire, rather.
And I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I guess we could still have like another small scale war. Maybe that's their plan, is they're gonna have the New Republic win like a smaller war with like this reemergence of the Empire to like try to give them some validity, and then they're just gonna get messed up by the First Order people. I don't know.
I don't know.
And that's the shitty thing, is if you were to get rid of the sequel trilogy with everything that's happening right now with Ahsoka and Thrawn and Ezra and like all of these pieces that they put into place now, and Moff Gideon and all of that stuff, you're like, oh shit, where is it going? Like, this is a big deal. Thrawn and the reemergence of the Empire and Dathomir, like,
nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems way more like interesting and like where all of it could go versus like where we know it has to go, and that sucks.
It also seems like I thought you were alluding to it being a better sequel trilogy.
Yeah,
like it could have been a better sequel.
Yeah, right now we're in the middle of the story of the like pre-sequel trilogy now, and it has been far more interesting. I mean, you think right now they're setting up the villain of this sequel trilogy, if you want to call it that, as Thrawn. They've set up Thrawn. You kind of have some information on Thrawn. They've kind of set him up as a spooky bad guy. He's got these weird witch people, and there's some sort of something happening with that. You've got these other oddball side characters that at this point we have no fucking clue what's happening with them. Like, your hero characters are now stuck on a planet in an unreachable destination. It is far more interesting of a setup for like a sequel act to the original trilogy than what was set up in, say, The Force Awakens.
Well, I kept hearing about like Filoni rewriting the sequel trilogy. What if this is kind of like the de facto rewrite? I mean, it might take place at the same time or in kind of the same universe, but what if this is kind of like the rewrite?
Maybe. I've seen that it's like, he's kind of giving us the sequel trilogy that we wanted.
We all wanted, yeah.
And maybe that's it, but it still has to go where the sequel trilogies go.
Yeah, true.
And that is not.
We still have a canon universe.
Yeah, it's not exactly a requirement I want to have to fill. Maybe the Rey movie, if they ever decide to say anything about it, will kind of help that, but I don't know. I think overall, I'm trying to think. Can you like go get out from under the desk? Dude, I'm gonna kill you. Trying to think in comparison to other shows. What was the finale of Mando season 1?
Finale of Mando season 1?
Oh, it was the whole battle with Moff Gideon and all that on
yeah.
Navarro. Season 1 of The Mandalorian was pretty good. I still don't think this tops season 1 of The Mandalorian. I think.
You gotta get closer to your mic.
I don't think this tops the season 1 of The Mandalorian. I don't think. I think it is. Mando season 1's kind of special though, because it was like a new thing. It was a weird time, like in the Star Wars fandom world, that Mando hit a certain way.
You can't really compare it because I mean we had 5 seasons of Rebels leading kind of into this, and we had 7 seasons of Clone Wars kind of leading into this. So we had a lot more time leading into this series versus, like you said, a very brand new concept to Star Wars, which was Mando, which had a very interesting beginning throughout to the end of the first season.
it's I guess it's almost an unfair comparison because if you're to take into account Rebels and Clone Wars and all of that stuff like as part of this story, then like obviously this is I guess better. But I don't know. I
Like,
still feel like
that's the book.
yeah, I still feel like Mando. Let's just say season 1 and season 2 to try to even the odds is still almost just as good, if not better, than this show was on its own. Because, like, season 1 of Mando was good, and then you add season 2 with Boba Fett and all of that stuff, Luke, all of that being included. As a self-contained thing, I think, because there's a lot of open-ended things that were not satisfyingly resolved in any capacity, like Balin and Shin and now that is even more less satisfying because Ray Stevenson passed away. I don't know. I mean, I would give like Mando season 1 and 2 like really high marks, like 9, 10 territory for those seasons. We're not even going to get into season 3. Whereas, I mean, this is still like at that same level. It's no Book of Boba Fett. Andor, though, I kind of still feel like Andor was better than this. I think.
Really?
Andor was good. I really liked Andor. I mean, the first 3 episodes I think weigh Andor down a lot, but for Andor again being like a whole new thing for Star Wars and a much more like adult Star Wars TV show. Whereas this kind of felt like it had a lot of the same like Rebels nods and like kind of more of this like kiddish type of things happening. Whereas like Andor is like real gritty messages and like things that matter, like the whole prison arc, him slowly coming to the rebellion and all that stuff. I think that is a little more moving and like engaging than some of the stuff here. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I could pick what I think is actually the best of, let's just say, Mando season 1 and 2, Andor, and this. They're all very, very similar, which is a good thing because those are all like, we're talking like peak Star Wars stuff.
I think that's where I'm a little different. I was a full-on fan of Rebels. I mean, I was a geek for it. I mean, I don't care if it was a kid's show or not. I loved Phoenix Squadron. I loved the whole story arc. So this has been a lot of it is like fandom, fan service, whatever. Yeah, I get it, but for me, like I'm a total geek for it. Like I loved it. I loved all of it. I get what you're saying about Andor and everything.
My point being is that you're comparing like 9s and 10s to each other anyway, so we're still in like as good a spot as we can be. Whereas Boba Fett's like a 5.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said to you earlier. I went through. I mean, obviously, we had 4, 5, 6 when I was born, obviously. And then the prequel eras were my eras, and then we had nothing. We strived, we wanted, we hoped and prayed for more Star Wars, and then there was the whole Disney got Star Wars, and it's the end of it. They're gonna whatever, and then now we're getting Star Wars, and I love it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think anything that we get the Star Wars, I will always love. I can't get enough of it. I will not complain as long as we can get as many episodes, as many shows. I mean, I don't want shitty shows, but the more Star Wars, the better.
That's the thing, like with something like Boba Fett, I think had it been a different character, I probably wouldn't have cared as much. But given that we already had like pre-Boba Fett stuff, you kind of go into it with a certain expectation. Whereas like something like Andor, you're like, well, fuck, I don't. I mean,
with Boba Fett, you're traversing all of the eras. You have Boba Fett in the original films. You have Boba Fett in the sequels. You have, well, maybe not in the prequels, but
Clone
now
Wars.
Now you have him in the later years. But he was the de facto like #1 Star Wars character that everybody loved, and
It just
I
feels
wouldn't say
like
they
they kind of
dropped the
dropped the ball.
ball,
That's
but
what it feels
yeah,
like. And that,
but yeah,
like,
they could
the
have done
whole
that.
Tuscan stuff, I thought was fucking sweet. Like, that, yeah, perfect. He had no tribe. He lost the only, like, family member he had. That was a perfect development. He got left on this planet to die. He got taken in by these people, and now he has a tribe. That makes perfect sense. It's just all of the present day stuff that kind of was, like, not my favorite bounty hunter, but talking about just liking Star Wars stuff, seeing the world building, like in that show, the Tuscan, all of that stuff is interesting. It's just cool to see. Getting more like lore and whatever, it's always cool. So there's always going to be some like positive stuff to come out of Star Wars stuff. I'm gonna watch all the stuff they're gonna give me, short of Visions, because I just can't digest it.
Yeah.
There's some, like I said, you might like go through and do what I did and just literally click through the beginning, like get to the art style, see if it's something you could even digest. Which in some cases, like I can't watch that. Nope, just go to the next one, see what it is.
I feel like some of them they submit episodes that are familiar, like they
Yeah.
have known characters and stuff. Like I'll watch those, but if it's just like totally,
So if you never watched the first episode of the first season, you should at least watch that episode because that was a sweet episode. Had that
I
like
think I've
black
watched
and
all
white.
of the. Yeah, I think I've watched all of the first season. It was like bits and pieces of the second season.
Um, but with this, I think you're talking about like being a big fan of Rebels. I think that is more like to in some capacity a discredit to me with this show because of like Sabine's character. I liked Sabine in Rebels, and I fucking hate Sabine in this show.
Well, that's like we talked about earlier. I think in Rebels, like her inconsistencies or her impulses were less effective. They didn't impact the
Yeah,
group much, whereas in this, it's literally impacting the galaxy.
yeah. And
And
I
she
guess
kind
you
of
could
made
make
her
the
like
thing she's making irrational decisions more so now than she did because her family died and they keep
Ezra's
alluding
the
to
only
some conflict that Ahsoka had something to do with her not being able to go help her family. Whether or not they want to like elaborate on that, maybe they will in the second season since we got like a little smidgen of it in this episode of her like being concerned that Sabine was training for the wrong reasons. Which you'd
yeah.
think she'd be even more concerned now, considering she just tried to let you die to get what she wanted to find Ezra. You think maybe she'd be a little more concerned?
Well, I think back then it was probably the anger, and she didn't want her like turning into like a dark force user versus like a light force user. So maybe the lesson in this instance proved to be true because I mean she found the force or whatever and is using it for good. I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked.
I don't know. I hope we get some more information on that at least. I would said that I hope that it sticks the landing. I don't know if it sticks the landing. I think it was a decent enough ending, but I don't think it stuck the landing. I think for it to have like actually stuck the landing, we would have got like Hera and Ezra, Thrawn. Like I'm okay with them being stuck and Thrawn making it out because that's more interesting. And it's actually good to see like your heroes lose occasionally.
Yeah.
But not having any sort of satisfying resolution to Balin and Shin, I think, is like a huge problem. And I think that leaves more of like a negative impact than maybe I would have thought. So I think it was a decent ending, but I don't think it was like fantastic ending.
I think what I was hoping for was a definite end story to Balin Skull, and not have like this Carrie Fisher thing going into whatever's coming next, whether it
Yeah.
be Ahsoka 2 or Mando 4 or whatever this possible movie might be.
Yeah.
But now we have a lot of uncertainty.
And it just felt weird given that in episode 6 and 7 they like really like emphasized Balin and Shin, and then you go into the finale and they're like they're like you just gave me like all this interesting stuff, you're not gonna like follow up on that?
Yep.
Because had the show ended the way that it did, with like not a whole lot of thing, and then basically just being mercenaries, it would have been like, well, that kind of sucks. They were like interesting dark Jedi type people. But then you get all the talk of like, oh, do you miss it? The temple and his view on the Jedi. Like, they really went in on those two characters in the last two episodes to then give us nothing in the eighth. It's just a weird. And maybe they didn't intend for it to like flow that way. Maybe there was more stuff and it just didn't quite work out. But
even like Balin's like the on Peridia, like, can you feel it? It's calling. Can you see it? It's calling. And like his
Jin's
mission,
like, what,
he
bitch?
abandons. Yeah, he abandons his apprentice, and like we just don't know.
Yeah. Well, as long as we don't find out that season 2 has been canceled for some reason, hopefully we'll get resolutions to all that in the next season. And hopefully they don't do a Mando season 2 to 3 and make us wait 2.5 years. Like, hopefully all this stuff has already been happening and we're going to get, like, say, season 4 of The Mandalorian, like, early, mid next year, maybe. And then give us, like, Ahsoka season 2, like, late next year.
There's going to be another writer's strike, another actor strike, another writer strike. So it'll be in a couple years, I'm sure.
Well, if we could get both seasons next year,
I highly doubt it.
I don't think that's unreasonable. You're talking, they've been done with this show. You're talking like over a year till the next season would come out. Mando season, like, I mean, the way, they're not long shows. We're not talking like 20 episode seasons or 12 episode seasons. These are like relatively short seasons for shows.
I could see Mando maybe next year, but Ahsoka definitely would be like 2025.
No. I don't think that would be the case, just because of they clearly have plans for the Mandoverse and Ahsoka being a part of that they would have, like, you would assume, have been a little more proactive about it. Because what good is...
It kind of goes back to me saying maybe they have more footage or maybe more whatever storyline of Balin's Skull that they had already filmed prior to him.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they could... I don't know.
Like, we got a season 1 and a season 2, but they continuously kept filming, just like they kind of do with like Infinity War and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's information on that out there. I just don't know. But I hope... I again, it's optimistic, but I would like Mando... Although we're supposed to get Andor next year also, I think.
And Skeleton Crew.
Okay, so maybe we get Mando, Andor, Bad Batch, like there's other shows obviously, but let's say of the live action shows, we get Mando and Andor next year, and then we get Ahsoka like early 2025 maybe.
It'd be nice.
I don't want to have to wait, let's just say, a year to get Mando, a year after that to get Ahsoka, and then 2 years after that to get the movie. Like, I would like to see the resolution of the Thrawn stuff before everybody involved is dead.
Yeah.
I mean...
I also wonder, talking about like Rise of Skywalker, if this storyline leads to hearing Ahsoka in that like final scene or whatever, like, because we don't know her end story.
Surely she is not still stuck on that planet in the Rise of Skywalker. That's a real boring season 2. Or maybe she dies. Maybe she is dead at that point. Maybe we're gonna get the resolution to her story, and it has to do with Thrawn and all of this stuff. And maybe she dies in that movie. And we get her,
hopefully
like,
not
joining Anakin.
Cool, I was about to say, how cool would that be? Like, future star, like whatever. Once upon a time, far, far in the future, like you see Anakin as the father, you got Ahsoka as the daughter. I don't know who would be the son.
Hello there.
I feel like I keep seeing like pictures of that like arc, and it's it looks like a Mandalorian type person. I don't think it'd be Mando.
Didn't show.
But
It's gonna be Grogu.
Grogu would be the son, the evil son.
Evil ass green lizard.
Little short dude.
Well, somebody that's evil is far more annoying if they're a foot tall and slicing up your ankles. Like cats.
Hey.
But I hope that man, that kind of makes me sad to think about. But I hope if they do that, they don't do what Vikings did to us and rob us of seeing like Ragnar, Lagatha, and Bjorn like in Valhalla when Bjorn passed. Like that was just a missed opportunity, and we got that kind of in The Last Kingdom, like a scene kind of reminiscent of that. That if we are going to the end of Ahsoka's story in whatever capacity through season 2 and whatever this movie is, if we don't see her with like forced ghost fucking Obi-Wan and Anakin, I'm gonna be annoyed. It's like that's her like main family. Maybe not so much Obi-Wan, because the way that they kind of portrayed it like in the Clone Wars season 7 was that they had like opposing views that it kind of felt a little awkward, but like there's no way they're not like family with everything that they'd been through. It's like
I think with that, I mean, you have Ahsoka. I think you have Ahsoka in all of the Clone Wars episodes up to season 7, and she was part of the team. Her Obi-Wan and Anakin were the team. So I feel you on that one. I think with season 7, like you said, I think Obi-Wan, even at that time, was still, I am the perfect Jedi. I am one that stays the way. I've done everything right. I've gotten rid of all of my attachments. I've gotten rid of blah, 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 blah. So I think in that point of view, like he maybe had an issue with her walking away. And I think that might have been it. Like that was his only thing. Like,
yeah,
you were one of us and you turned your back on us. Kind of. Maybe he just had like a little bit of like.
Well, he also did everything correctly. It's like no attachments, no nothing. It's like, see ya, loser. Ain't attaching, no capacity. I also say I hope we keep seeing Genevieve O'Reilly. I think is her name is Mom Mothma. I like her.
That's what I was saying last episode.
Like when she says 3PO, you're like,
I know.
It's comforting.
3PO. Like it was perfect. Like I watched that on my lunch today, and every single time I've seen it is, see, I don't need your whatever, and she's like 3PO.
Yeah,
it's like perfect. It's
like
perfect.
Give us more of that. Well, it's not the like super perfect ending note that I wanted to end on, but it certainly could have been worse. And we got some cool stuff. I'm glad the fight scene between her and like Night Sister Morgan was like a little more proper feeling, because their choreography, I feel like through the show, has been kind of
clunky,
all over the place. Like some of it you're like, oh, it looks pretty good, and some of it you're like, oh, it looks a little goofy. I wish they would just bring back what's his name? It's Gillard. I don't think it's Nate Gillard.
Gillard. I think you're right, because watching like episode 1, like the making of it, was like a Matt Gillard, Nick Gillard, blonde hair or whatever, white hair.
I wish they would just bring him back to do some of the choreography for this stuff. I don't know if that's another one of those things that Disney's like, oh, well, that's from the George Lucas era. We don't really want to touch that. We want it to be our own. But there, you watch like the prequel stuff. There is it's like a dance watching those things. Whereas like some of this stuff, it just looks clunky and weird. And at this point, we should be seeing like the most fluid, like proper version, and it just looks a little funky. So I'm glad that fight at least was better. But
well, not to hate on Rosario, but I wonder if it is part of the actor or actress, because I feel like Baylan's stuff seems a little fluid, and like you said, the Night Sister seemed pretty fluid. Most
she was getting it.
The girl Shati, she what why can't I
Shin.
ever remember Shin Hati?
Yeah.
Her stuff seems to be the little bit that you see seems to be pretty fluid. So I wonder if it was.
I think it's
maybe,
just Ahsoka, because you also have a determined visual for like what Ahsoka is supposed to look like when she fights, and it is absolutely not that in any capacity.
And the season 7 animated choreography does not help her case because it was beautiful.
Yeah, had that flowy, like majestic feel to it, and a lot of the stuff in these shows have been like I'm sorry, when they go to them like defending the stormtrooper blaster bolts, and it like kind of pans backwards, and you see all 3 of them standing there. That looked wacky as hell. I don't know what it was. Like it was like. It's like just the way it was framed. Something about it looked really weird. It didn't look that weird once like they kind of got into it, but that initial opening shot, weird choice. But we certainly could have ended on a worse note, that's for sure. So
yeah, I
am satisfied. I think maybe next week, just for the sake of doing something until we get some more shows, maybe we'll watch the Shadow of the Republic fan film, so you could see that if you haven't seen it, and we'll talk about it.
I don't think I've seen it,
because that's some good Star Wars stuff. It's short, but it I think will lead to some conversation, especially because we love clone stuff. So maybe we'll do that same time next week, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do from there. But I guess that's it for those of you that have been here. There has been some people. I appreciate you. I
hate that my live chats weren't updating in time.
If you made it this far and you have maybe things that we actually missed, if you listen to this big long nonsense conversation, let us know. I'm curious to see the growing opinions over the next couple days as people now have a full complete thing to digest. I have a feeling that the Baylan stuff is gonna be a topic, probably a similar consensus that we've come to with it. So I'll be curious to see, but we'll probably come up with some more things to do, and we'll most likely continue to do this for the shows going forward. I think
we can find something to watch or play or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know what we have coming out. Yeah, we'll figure some stuff out. There'll be stuff, I'm sure. But we'll come back at least same time next week. We'll do Shadow of the Republic, and then we'll go from there. So, alrighty. We will see you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.